All right, hello everyone. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar, Leveraging Digital Tools to Take Your Small Business Global. My name is Jamaica Gale and I'm the Deputy Director of the Global Innovation Forum. We are delighted to be hosting this event in partnership with the International Trade Administration and the Small Business Administration. The purpose of today's webinar is to explore how small businesses in the United States are utilizing digital tools more than ever to bolster their global operations and to highlight some of the tools and programs that are available from the private and public sectors. So today we're going to hear from a group of truly extraordinary small businesses and about the ways that they are using digital tools and platforms to grow their businesses globally. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Global Innovation Forum, GIF is a project of the National Foreign Trade Council Foundation. Our goal is to connect entrepreneurs and small businesses with policymakers to explore the opportunities of engaging in the global marketplace. We aim to elevate the global opportunity that exists for small businesses in the digital age by examining the challenges of participating effectively in international markets and advocating to improve the public policy landscape for global innovators. So before I hand things over to my colleague, I would like to review a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. So the format of today's program, we are going to start off with a moderated small business panel, followed by interventions from technology companies about the role of digital tools in enabling global access and the connection to digital trade. With us today, we have representatives from Visa, Intuit, and UPS. And then lastly, we will hear from ITA and SBA about some of the programs and initiatives that are available to help small businesses. There will also be opportunities to answer some questions from the audience. So in the attendee view, you will be able to submit any questions you have for speakers in the Q&A chat on the right-hand side of your screen. Our moderators will do their best to integrate as many of the questions from the audience into the program as time allows. I would also like to mention that the webinar is being recorded and is on the record. A copy of the recording will be made available after the event on the GIF website, which we will circulate to attendees. I think that covers all of the technical items, so I'm going to turn things over to Jake Colvin, who leads the Global Innovation Forum. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jamaica, and thanks as well to SBA and the International Trade Administration for partnering with us on this event. Really appreciate the chance to host this discussion with you. Jamaica already described the flow of the event, and so I think I'm just going to jump right into the conversation with the small businesses that we have here today. And really excited to be joined by three impressive entrepreneurs to begin the conversation. Eno Umoh, who's the co-founder of the Global Air Media and Global Air Drone Academy. Maxeme Tuchman, who's the co-founder and CEO of Caribu. And Dr. Wei-Shin Lai, the founder and CEO of AcousticSheep and the inventor of sleep phones. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions on my own. As Jamaica mentioned, if you're watching this and you'd like to ask a question, please use the question and answer function, which should be available on your screen. I'll be able to see it, as will Jamaica, even if you don't, and we'll attempt to incorporate questions from the audience into the conversation. Just a reminder for the small business speakers and everyone else who follows, please make sure to turn on your microphone and camera when it's your turn to speak. So I wanted to start really just by asking each of you, Wei-Shin, Eno, and Max, to tell us about your business. In particular, I think it'd be great to get a sense of how your business engages in global markets and operates on a global basis. So Wei-Shin, wanted to start with you, if that's okay.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Hi, it's an honor to be here and to tell you my story. So a little bit of background about me. I am a family doctor by training. And as I was starting out in my practice, I would be getting phone calls late at night from patients when I was on call. And then it would be hard for me to shut my brain down and get back to sleep. And so my husband found some relaxing music. We thought it was great. But then I tried headphones and they're just bulky. Can't sleep on my side. And then I tried earbuds and they stick in my ears and they hurt. And so we ended up one night just kind of fiddling around and came up with the idea of sleep phones. So these are sleep phones here. And you just put them on over your head, and then we have super thin speakers inside that then you can listen to your music through. And so then you can sleep on your side comfortably, block out any snoring, and listen to the most relaxing thing that helps you sleep. And so that's kind of how we got started. That was about 13 years ago. Now we are up to millions of dollars in sales every year, including over $1 million in exports every year. And we have 25 employees here in Erie, Pennsylvania. We export everything all over the world from Erie, Pennsylvania. We do quite a bit of things here too. We import some of the items, but then we quality control, light assembly, package, ship, all of that. And we ship, pretty much to all of the English-speaking countries, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and then some other countries like Singapore, UAE, France, Taiwan, Japan, you name it, most of the first world countries. And then I think our biggest opportunity now is in continental Europe. So that's where we're looking. Oh, and recently we were honored by the Exim Bank as Small Business Exporter of the Year.
Congratulations, that's terrific. Thanks very much, Wei-Shin. Maybe I wanted to turn it over to Eno Umoh next. Eno?
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Eno Umoh. I am the co-founder of Global Air Media and the Global Air Drone Academy. We are a drone services company based in Baltimore, Maryland. We got our start in 2015. Basically, when we saw, like a lot of other entrepreneurs in this business, we saw that there were so many different industries utilizing drone technology. We wanted to be when people really started to use it. I spark my inspiration for this. Actually came from a trip to Nigeria, where my father is from. I was there and I actually saw drones being used in an entertainment context for filming and video. But this was back in 2015 when drones were really just starting to be talked about. And I said to myself, if this is technology that's being used here in this part of the world, this is definitely going to be utilized all over. So I took full advantage of that technology, and we were licensed by the Federal Aviation Administration in the United States. And from there, we've been able to grow our business. So as the name implies, we are a very global business. We've conducted workshops and training and services in 9 different countries so far. We've trained over 6,000 students on drone technology. And what we're really focused on is developing a workforce in this industry. We want youth and young adults to look at drone technology as a viable industry that they can get into and develop a career and actually find different jobs. So
Eno, I'm sorry, we're losing your audio there. There's been a little bit of feedback, and we can't hear you right now. Why don't we, maybe we can go to Max, and then we can come back to Eno with the next question, if that's all right. So Max Tuchman from Caribu, if you could maybe just tell us a little bit about your business and your experience being a global small business.
Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Max. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Caribu. We are the leading educational family entertainment platform for kids ages 0 to 13 to have virtual play dates with family and friends when they can't be physically together. So we had an incredible use case before the pandemic, and now with the pandemic, we have grown 10x, we actually grew 10x overnight, and we are still 10x bigger. And a lot of that growth actually came from the international community. So Caribu has always been an international, we've always had an international user base. We serve customers in over 200 countries and territories. And our library is full of thousands of books and actually has books in 10 different languages. One of the things we did last year is we started to build original content, and a lot of it was in the activity section. And what's really great about that is right now we're really big in Lebanon and Egypt. And you don't necessarily have to speak a specific language to play tic-tac-toe or to draw together with a loved one. So we've continued to kind of lean into the global market that we're in, and it's been incredible to see kind of when we look at a world map of kind of a heat map of where the Caribu calls, we call them magical Caribu calls. We look at kind of where the magical Caribu calls are happening, and they're literally happening 24/7 across the globe. Because families right now, aren't able to travel as much as they used to. And even when they were able to travel, right, there's still a lot of distance between families. We also know we're combating social isolation right now, not only for kids, but also for seniors. So we're really grateful that we're able to help families right now stay connected in a super engaging way and really create, kind of beautiful memories for families to cherish in the future, even when they can't be physically together.
Thanks very much, Max. Yeah, my mom and my daughter are just starting to get on Caribu, and so I know they're looking forward to getting started. I wanted to start the next question. Wei-Shin, first with you, and then Max, and then we'll try Eno again. But the title of today's event is Leveraging Digital Tools to Take Your Small Business Global. And so we're all using digital tools at an unprecedented rate during the pandemic. And what we see talking with small businesses is that online tools and transactions, in some cases, completely replace traditional retail ones. And so what we hear from the companies that we talk with is that these digital tools kept them operating, whereas 20 years ago they would have had to shut down completely. And so I'm curious if you could just describe and unpack some of the key digital tools that you rely on as a global business, and in particular, if there are any digital tools that you'd call out as critical or that you're using more intensively to manage uncertainty over the past 6 months. So Wei-Shin, I would like to go back to you.
Absolutely. So I think we've definitely seen a huge shift in the kind of sales that we have. We've seen an increase in the digital sales, so through our own website, through Amazon, places like that. And we've seen a decrease in wholesale into stores, retail, obviously. And then, being able to straddle both the digital online sales world and the physical retail sales world, we've been able to call ourselves an e-commerce company. And so we were allowed to be open for part of the pandemic, which was incredibly helpful. And I think some of the key digital tools that we use to bring people to the website and just to our brand in general, all of the Google Analytics to know, where people are searching for sleep help products, and for our brand as we get our name out there through social media, where they're coming from. And then knowing that, oh, hey, we've got a lot of people searching for our stuff in Australia, but we don't really have a great distributor there. So now we need to match our ability to sell to people in Australia, there. And so having that is helpful. We actually work with a lot of content creators. So on YouTube and some of the podcasts out there, the content creators create music or soothing sounds to help people sleep. And by partnering with these content creators, we get to push our product out there because it's a natural fit. And so the app stores, and then we get it. The Google ads and Facebook ads to push our name further. And then once they come to our site, they use Shopify. We use PayPal on the site, Amazon Pay, different currency, automatic currency exchange type of products that just make it completely seamless to us. I mean, it all just comes straight to our bank account. We don't have to worry about, having currencies different in different countries. We built our website on the Google Cloud platform, and so we're able to reach pretty much the entire world with just a click of the button. And once they get to our site, they make a purchase, get that money through, we can ship and sell, everything worldwide, UPS, FedEx, and UPS. These are great. Occasionally we use DHL. And we've actually sold our products to all 7 continents, including Antarctica. So that's very exciting. And to run our own operations, we use the Google Suite. So we collaborate in docs, spreadsheets. Lately, to have meetings, we've been using Google Meet rather than going to our conference room. We've always used Google email, calendar systems, things like that. And accounting, we use QuickBooks Online. And my husband, who's a game developer, he picked out all of these types of software solutions for us, but he also implemented a few of our own. So we have an in-house chat software and also an in-house password keeper. And those have been the main tools that we've utilized, throughout our organization as everybody has split up and just gone home. Everybody that could go home has been at home now for months. And I've been so surprised and happy that they've continued to use all of these tools so well through our VPN, and productivity is fine. It's great.
That's great. Thanks, Wei-Shin. Yeah, I mean, I think we've all figured out that we can work from home if need be. Max, same question to you. Could you talk about the key digital tools that you use and any lessons learned from the last 6 months?
Yeah, so when you are a virtual playdate platform that is helping connect families across the globe, you kind of start digitally and globally. We made a very early decision, my co-founder and I, to be a distributed team. And I think one of the things that was really hectic for a lot of people when the pandemic kind of shut things down is that, people, when you make the choice to be more in person or to have remote people but have a headquarters, it ends up being very difficult to kind of switch everyone over. So when the pandemic hit here in the US, it was a normal Monday for us. We've always kind of been a digitally and virtually connected company. We have employees all over the globe, and we use tools to stay connected to them, mainly Slack. I think Slack is probably our best kind of connection tool for conversations and to kind of like feel like you're in the office, right, to ping each other. We do everything by video call. We've kind of always done that. And we also, I want to talk about the fact that you have to build culture across, kind of geographic lines, but also time zones, and you're trying to build culture with a team that might not have met in person yet. And so we did we instituted a long time ago a happy hour, like a virtual happy hour that we did every Friday, and we play games together. We go into like VR worlds and we play Jackbox games, so I think that's another kind of digital tool that people don't realize. You can do a lot with team building with digital tools. We, as an app, I think the greatest kind of digital tool that we have is the app stores, right? So we are on React Native, therefore we're in Google Play and the Apple App Store, and those are our retail stores, right? That's how we get to over 200 countries and territories. And I think being kind of being able to reach all of those places and have people very easily kind of download the product allowed us to get to that global reach. But just a couple of weeks ago, we launched our web platform, which makes us the world's first multi-platform video calling experience for kids and families, which now also even more opens up the world for anyone who might not have a mobile phone or not be able to access the App Store. You can go to app.caribu.com and you can literally use the same product from the computer. So you can make magical Caribu calls from the computer to Android to iOS to mobile to tablet, really providing a lot of equity and access to families across the globe. And then I think one of the other kind of most important digital tools would be social media. It's we focus on moms and glamas, so glamorous grandmas, and in Spanish it's fabuelas, abuelas fabulosas. And glamas are, they're on Facebook, and they are on their iPad on Facebook. And so we really do end up having conversations with our customers on social. Instagram, while, kind of this pandemic has been happening, has been a place where people have just been constantly posting about their experience with Caribu, right? There's a woman who actually posted, like, I'm going to, finish my dissertation because Caribu is in our lives and my child can actually be engaged and entertained while I'm trying to finish. And I think that, Caribu we're a virtual tool that has helped us, again, kind of connect people and help them globally.
Great, thanks very much, Max. Eno, wanted to turn to you. Sorry to have cut you off before. If there's anything you wanted to add about your business, but then also if you could talk about the digital tools that you use to go global.
Sure. Is this better? Can you hear me now?
Yep, sounds good.
So yes, we have definitely taken full advantage of the virtual world that we're in now. Going back to some of our core services at Global Air Media and the Global Air Drone Academy, when it comes to our training and education side, of course, that is in person. We were in classrooms, we were in universities, we were providing one-on-one training, but since March of this year, we've had to, of course, move 100% virtual. So we've implemented a number of tools and products that have helped sustain us. One of the things that we created was something called Drone Camp in a Box. And essentially every summer we have hundreds of students that we teach in the States, thousands worldwide that all participate, in summer camp. And with all of them shut down this year, we had to find an alternative, most importantly, to keep them engaged in STEAM, science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math, which is at the core of our curriculum. So we created Drone Camp in a Box. Inside that box came a small drone, some cones, what we call our swag bag with a t-shirt, lanyard, and a pen. And that also came with a weeks-long virtual summer camp. So the students were able to fly their drones on their own time and then have an hour each day with an instructor. So this was really impactful because we know that a lot of these students were, on Zoom calls, all day. So this was giving them a physical activity actually that took them outside. So this is something that not only was developed in the summer, but we're going to take into the fall and beyond as well, since we are still very much in this situation. So one thing that we did learn is education really is sort of a recession-proof business. There was never a need where, or never a time where, this education or the need for this wasn't there. Even though schools are going back and forth with being in person and virtual, there's still very much a need for STEAM technology. So we've been able to take advantage of that and really grow over these past couple of months. We did have to turn into a logistics company with the box, Drone Camp in a Box product that I just mentioned. And this is something that we didn't have any experience with. So utilizing digital tools, we use Squarespace, for our site, but they have an e-commerce platform that integrates, that makes it so easy for you to collect orders, for you to create shipping labels, and send that out efficiently. So one thing that we're really particular on is the efficiency of the operation. Just because we're new to this doesn't mean we can compromise, on that quality. So using those tools, definitely helped. Also, of course, a lot of content management, utilizing social media, LinkedIn. I'm sure a lot of the entrepreneurs here can attest. There are a lot of leads, that come from LinkedIn, which is a free tool. So definitely for any entrepreneurs who are not active there, definitely make sure you are they're taking advantage of that. And the last thing I'll mention is something that we've been running with a few embassies, particularly in Africa, where we have a core focus on, in Nigeria and Zambia. One of the programs we have is a virtual drone business competition. We actually just ran one just 2 weeks ago in Zambia, and this pretty much gave participants an opportunity to create their own drone business idea, pitch that idea to a panel of judges, something that we would do in person, but of course we were able to do that virtually. So we're looking to expand on these programs and taking, of course, advantage of the tools that are out there for us.
Great, thanks very much, Eno. So I wanted to turn now to talk a little bit about government resources. We're going to hear in a little while from SBA and ITA talk about the digital tools and other resources that they offer to help small businesses access global markets. And I know at least a couple of you have used either federal or state or local government resources or sought out advisors. And so could you talk a little bit about those government resources or best practices that you've utilized and that you might recommend to others? So anything from working with the SBA or the Commercial Service to state and local business loans or trade promotion programs. Would love to hear about it. Wei-Shin, I think you've used some of them before, and so could we start with you?
Yeah, absolutely. The SBA and the local SBDC, we definitely worked with them quite a bit. They really helped us, develop our first business plan, and then, for the first 5 years, we followed that plan and were able to hit our goal, and then to grow from there, continue to grow from there. And they connected us with the right people to learn about exporting and all of the different forms and things like that we had to fill out in order to do things correctly. And one of the things that we encountered early on is we started working with some distributors overseas, and things were going fine, and then all of a sudden they increased their order, and we thought, great, they're ordering more. And then we found out that they just were planning to not pay us. And so we actually lost $40,000 that way, $20,000 through 2 distributors who just ended up not paying us. And so that was pretty devastating. And that's when we learned about the Ex-Im Bank, and we would just, it's not something that I would have even known about unless the SBA and our local and state government agencies. We have one here in Pennsylvania called Ben Franklin, and we also have export assistance programs here in Pennsylvania in addition to the U.S. Commercial Service. And those places pointed us to the Ex-Im Bank, and so now we have insurance on all of our exports, which has been tremendous for us, just for peace of mind. We haven't had any further losses, but for a little bit of money, we're able to insure everything that we send out. So yeah, I think those are some of the biggest ones that we've used. I think Pennsylvania has a fantastic export assistance program, and that's mostly what we've used over the years.
Great, thanks, Wei-Shin. Eno, I believe you've used some commercial service resources as well. Could you talk a little bit about advice on government programs?
Sure. So definitely highly recommend any companies wishing to expand globally to talk to your local commercial service division in whatever state you're in. Their job is to help your business grow. So one of the key services we use is called the Gold Key Service. And this is a service that they provide where you essentially, it's a business matchmaking service, and you let them know the type of clients that you're looking to work with, potential partners. This could be private and government, but you pretty much provide them with a framework, and they're able to put together a report for you and recommend different agencies that you can talk to. Now, obviously going in with the credibility of the U.S. Embassy, U.S. government in any country will help. But this is definitely something that has enabled us to open many more doors than would have been open otherwise. So it's still surprising to me that a lot of other companies don't utilize this. I mean, this is definitely on a grand scale, whatever the cost may be. By the way, which I think has been reduced because we're in a virtual introductory mode now. So definitely take full advantage of that opportunity. Contact your local commercial services division, and they definitely will help you. They put together a plan for you to take your business into the country and walk you along the way. So that's definitely been something that's been really good for us.
Great, thanks very much, Eno. Max, have you used government programs as well, or do you have any advice?
Yeah, so as a as a former Treasury official, I'm a big fan of government resources, and actually, feel like I know what they are, which is sometimes half the battle. But one of the things that Caribu really took advantage of was the regulation crowdfunding from the SEC. So last year, we were looking to raise just, kind of some extra cash over the summer. And because of equity crowdfunding, we, kind of had an opportunity and a resource that we could leverage to raise some funding for Caribu to keep us going until we wanted to go back to kind of the venture capital community. And we're really grateful for that. And one of the other things that I think that allowed us to do was diversify our investor pool. We ended up adding a lot of women and people of color to our investor pool. They also, the investors became customers. So we ended up having pretty explosive growth in our customer base as well, because a lot of the people who invested said, wow, I have this pain point, right? I'm trying to do a very boring FaceTime call or just video call with my grandkids, and we have nothing to do in the video call. And so when they saw Caribu, they were like, okay, not only am I going to use this, but I'd like to invest in the future success of this company. And again, only available to us because of the regulation crowdfunding opportunity. And I think, I mention it now because I think that's one of the things that in kind of us founders have been dealing with through the pandemic is, what access to capital do we have? How do we get creative about that access to capital? Also, all of us who are on this, right? We're women, people of color. I'm Latinx, no one can ever tell, but that's fine. And I feel like there's so much bias in the venture capital system, and it's very hard for us sometimes to raise money. And this gave us kind of a more democratized way to do it and to keep our company going. We went to raise $500,000 and ended up raising $1.7 million. It went so well.
Wow.
And that allowed us, to keep the company going. And then this pandemic happened, and then, we grew to 10X. And so yeah, very grateful for the work we've been able to do because of that.
Congratulations, that's amazing. I think, and I know there's interest with our partners in the government in elevating those stories and having a conversation maybe specifically on crowdfunding. So that's great. So we got a couple of questions that came in about supply chain, and so I wanted to maybe just lump them together. And I think they're primarily for Wei-Shin and Eno. But can you talk about securing your supply chain? What can you break down where your products are made overseas versus here? And then how do you secure your intellectual property and prevent fakes or copycats? Wei-Shin, you started talking about your supply chain, domestic versus international. Would you want to take that question first?
Sure. So we have some components manufactured in Taiwan and a few in China, and then we have all of that shipped over to the US, and then we finalize the assembly in the US. And so like our Bluetooth module, this is made in Taiwan. And so this being completely separate from our headband keeps it a lot safer from an intellectual property standpoint. So by breaking up some of the supply chain, that's one way that we protect it. And we also have been working with the suppliers. We got to know them very well. And to do that and to keep up meetings and to talk to them every week. My cousin, who is Taiwanese, speaks Chinese and is able to help me manage some of the supplies because I came to the US when I was 7, and so my Chinese is marginal. But I am still able to at least participate in the meetings that we have on a weekly basis with our suppliers. And I think having that strong relationship with your overseas suppliers has been helpful. With the pandemic, we have seen a slight slowdown. I'm not sure where the problem is. I think the products got to the US, but was stuck in Pittsburgh for some time before we were able to get it. And so that's caused us a bit of a headache, and we've had to pay for air shipping so that we can get some of our products to the UK, where we had a customer waiting. And normally, we were able to get stuff to them in 2 weeks, but it's been a month waiting on our supplier. And so there's some challenges that we've seen lately with our supply chain. But I think, one of the things I think that can help us going forward is to make sure that we enable trade across borders. Having those free trade agreements in place is going to help, after the pandemic, make things a lot smoother. Having fewer tariffs and things like that, especially to places like Brazil or India. Those are opportunity places. There's so many people there. We can't access those markets unless some of these barriers with how much tariff they're putting on our products, if that can go away, if we can negotiate some of those things, then we would have an even wider audience to sell to.
That's a really good point. Thanks, Wei-Shin. You actually just answered another question that I was going to ask. Eno, do you want to talk a little bit about your supply chain and how you protect intellectual property?
Sure. So I would say it definitely depends on where we're operating. One of the popular manufacturers in the world now is DJI, which many of you may know, have heard of. Of course, they are a Chinese-based company, a Chinese manufacturer. So there have been some times when we had jobs on U.S. government sites, and we had to essentially use a U.S. Manufactured drone. So there are some technicalities that have come up, and as I said, it just depends on the type of job that we are performing. Now, when it comes to our training and our workshops, we have to be very careful on how we are distributing that information. We use some secure platforms. We've primarily been using Thinkific as a learning tool, a learning platform. But yes, we have to be very careful as essentially when we hand over that information and that intellectual property, because once it's gone, it can easily be distributed from there. So we definitely have to make sure we're dealing with credible, strong partners. I'll also comment on some of the challenges we've faced when it comes to just shipping just drones in general. So just for instance, a few weeks ago, we had an order, and the vendor that we were using said that we could not ship the lithium-ion batteries with the drones, which means we had to separate all the lithium-ion batteries and send the drones separately, which created a nightmare. Essentially, it's something that we didn't anticipate, doing. So this is something that we hope is fixed, soon. But when it comes to drones and regulations, we know that this is still very brand new territory, and governments are still developing and maturing their rules and regulations. So it's the business we're in. Unfortunately, we're going to remain optimistic. I will follow up with Dr. Wei. These tariffs, we definitely need support. We need help to ease, the way of doing business, and especially, in these times we're in, it's a very, very global world. So definitely glad to contribute there.
Excellent. Thanks, Eno. So Max, if you'd like to respond about protecting intellectual property and your sort of dispersed development of the app, that's great. But also wanted to ask you the question that Eno and Wei-Shin have already answered, which is what can governments do to help a small business like yours reach international markets?
Yeah, we're software, so it's like fashion, right? Good luck trademarking your skirt or copywriting your skirt. But we do have a lot of kind of moats and competitive advantages over anyone else that's trying to do this and I can talk more about that. But I think the place where government can really lean in is kind of helping us in having government be kind of that distribution channel, right? And making it easier. I think the regulations around being a woman-owned business or a minority-owned business are very tough when you are a venture-backed company, right? The first day at Caribu, yes, I owned most of my company. Once you start taking in funding from other investors, like you lose that designation and that status. And so, kind of the government could find a way to still certify women and minority-owned businesses that are venture-backed, so that we can participate in a lot of the kind of federal funding programs, or the ability. One of the things we do is we donate free subscriptions of Caribu to all currently serving U.S. military. We'd love to partner with the government on that to make sure that every military family knows that they have access to Caribu, but it's very difficult because I don't own 100% of my company anymore. And I think the second thing is I don't think a lot of people realize this. There's a lot of U.S. government employees that live abroad, right? The State Department is a perfect example, and we're a perfect resource for people in the State Department who have young kids to stay connected to their families back home, right? A lot of them have moved over with their kids, and now grandma and grandpa are back in the U.S. and need a way to stay connected. So any government kind of agencies that have employees that are working abroad, helping us get our products to them and showing them we're U.S. made products that can help them while they're in the expat community would be amazing. And I'd be happy to talk to anyone who's on this call.
Great, thanks, Max. Now, Wei-Shin and Eno, I know you both talked about the importance of removing tariffs and new free trade agreements. But just wanted to see if there was anything else you wanted to add in terms of things that the government can do to help a business like yours go global. Wei-Shin?
Well, I think that was my main thing as far as helping us go global. Some of the challenges that we've had selling internationally, one of them is the customs and duties in some of these countries where, we have interested people. And in fact, sometimes we try to have affiliates set up there because they're content producers there. And so we want to send them some free headphones so that they can try them and then talk about them to their customers. But even free samples, we can't write zero for how much they're worth. And so then they get to Brazil and they have to pay over $100 just to even receive this free sample. So things like that would, if the government can help to smooth over sampling kind of procedures and reduce some of those tariffs for us, then I think we can enter into a lot more markets.
Great.
But yeah, so I guess that's the biggest thing for me. But other challenges include the financial transactions. I think that's smoothed over by places like PayPal or Amazon Pay, or the financial stuff is easily taken care of, and even the language differences using Google Translate. A lot of, you don't get the subtleties, but you can get the gist of what they're trying to say. And so even the language differences are solved. So honestly, like keeping the internet free, having these meeting platforms be available worldwide. The biggest challenge we have is communicating with our Chinese partners. Lately with WeChat, we've been trying to find other platforms to talk on, but having that free internet is also going to be very, very important to us going forward in the future. Without WeChat, my husband would have to spend some of his time setting up some kind of a platform where China can access it and we can access it. And, we just don't need to be wasting our time doing things that, shouldn't have to happen. If we claim to be a free country, we have to set an example as a free country, and we need to make sure that everything is free. That we are able to communicate with everybody, that there are no restrictions on the internet for our country.
Thanks, Wei-Shin. That's a really good point. I think a lot of us in the United States have gotten a lot more educated about all the different ways in which WeChat is used, particularly in China and elsewhere in Asia over the past couple of months. Eno, I know Wei-Shin she started talking about challenges. Just curious if you could highlight, maybe one of your top challenges that you faced, either a long-standing one or one that's maybe gotten more acute in the past 6 months, particularly as you go global.
Sure. It definitely goes back to the regulations. Every country has different regulations for drones. They have different rules for operating them. They have different rules for importing them. So if we can develop some type of standard, maybe if it's just on North America side or just continental, where these regulations can be eased, particularly in the U.S. I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Amazon was just awarded permission to operate drones for delivery purposes. This is something that they presented almost 4 or 5 years ago, and now they're just now getting that approval. So we need to enable the innovation of this technology, enable more companies to develop it, to work on it. I know there even NASA is involved with the aerial highway, just like planes used for coordination and landing in the airports. Drones will be utilizing that same technology, but we are still waiting on it. We're waiting for that to be developed. But until some of these things are in place, we're still going to see growth, and the industry is definitely growing. Even during COVID, we've seen a lot of growth in the industry, but we still need that government support on the regulation side to enable more entrepreneurs like myself to further develop this technology and take it global.
Great. Thanks, Eno. So I'm going to end with one question for Max. It comes from the attendees. So the question is, do you have any plans on landing in Latin America and going and really doubling down on reaching out to Spanish-speaking countries for your business?
I love that question. So first of all, we are named after the Canadian reindeer, the Caribu with an O, but we spelled it in Spanish. Again, I'm Cuban, my co-founder is Spanish, and we did that specifically. Also, Caribu with a K means welcome in Swahili, and in Malay, Caribu means go to your mother. So we chose a name very specifically to be global, and we actually do have a lot of users in Latin America. I think one of the challenges when we think of digital tools is Latin America has been one of the slower, kind of continents to adopt kind of payments through the phone. There's countries that have kind of leapfrogged and payments on the phone, and just having a credit card that's kind of in your app store has been very difficult in Latin America. So that's one of the biggest challenges that I think we're facing down there. But on the content side, the second largest kind of book selection language is in Spanish. So we have tons of books in Spanish. Like I said, we even have a word for our grandma, the fabuela, and would love to do more in Latin America if we could figure out a different way to work out payments.
Great, thanks, Max. So I'm going to want to pause the conversation there, and I really wanted to thank you, Max, Eno, and Wei-Shin for sharing your stories. And now wanted to, and hope you will hang with us and would welcome any reactions you have as the conversation moves forward.